Uh, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Uncle Chuck and my father being best friends in school with my mother and Uncle Chuck's sister. My mother met my father. And he told me a story that he shot pool. And my daddy, back in those days, they were just young and wild and free. So they were somewhere, they were going to hitchhike to Florida. And they got down there and they almost got arrested for vagrancy, and they laughed so much, they pulled out a pocket full of money because they had just got back from offshore. Pocket full of money, and he told me that story all his life, and if it wasn't for him meeting me, I wouldn't be here. So Uncle Chuck, and he was the only one that would come push me on the swing, all at 90s on the end of Harrison at the old house. And I have to say that because, and that just landed me because nobody else would come push me on that swing, but he would. And one more thing, he had a little Honda car that he had forever. He loved that little car. And I happen to have a Honda transmission also. And Uncle Chuck was so detailed about where everything in his yard. And when I had spent money on that transmission, and I knew he had the same one. So I come put it on his phone. I couldn't get in touch with him. I put newspaper down for the oil. I put that transmission and all the extra parts for his car on that newspaper on the porch, and I left it. And I got a phone call about the day later. I guess he was going somewhere. And when he got back, I got a phone call, and he went and tore into me. Get that stuff off my porch. And I was like, oh Lord. So I go get the stuff off the porch. Then I immediately run over there as soon as possible, get all that up, and making sure there was no oil from the transmission, because it was new parts that I had got, and the car I had was gone. So I went, and that was like $2,000 worth of parts. I had just spent money on it. I couldn't do nothing with it, but I knew he had it. So I go over there the next day, and he's tearing into me on that porch. I get all that up, and I'm making sure there's nothing, no wall or nothing nowhere. So about 3 days later, I get a phone call. Well, I need that transmission. My whole transmission just locked up on me. And literally 3 days later, he needed those parts. And I'll tell you what. Yes, and he apologized, and I'm so sorry. I see. And I spent that Christmas and put them all in for him, and spent like 3 days with him. And Uncle Chuck, that's one stop I'm gonna miss. Oh, Uncle Chuck was awesome. And the only other thing I can remember way back was when Angel was there, and she was in a big hurry, and she got backed out the driveway and hit the gas meter. Into the gas. And so I told him, Uncle Chuck, you got to put more bricks there, because it was right. It's so small. But I remember that also, and boy, that was just, he was always, when I was little, I used to call him Jesus, my Jesus, because he looked like Jesus. And I'm going to leave it there, guys. I love y'all. And,
we love you, baby.
I do believe there's a resurrection.
The lesson about that, you didn't mess Chuck's stuff up.
He did not mess it up, but he never let me live it down over there.
Not messing stuff
And the way it turned out, he needed everything, and I went put it in, it was good. Oh, yeah. Yeah, he felt differently. He felt differently after that. Right.
Yes, indeed.
I'm glad the Lord stepped in on that one.
That's good.
I'm just gonna add one comment. He
Yes,
did
ma'am.
love him some Gary Warner.
He told me all the time.
He loved him some Gary Warner.
Oh no, wait a minute. Oh, there was one more thing. I was accused of putting the hose in the gas tank when he come saw my mom in Baton Rouge. And for years, he told me that when I was walking around Denver, I did that. Put the hose and filled the tank up with water. Well, about 3 months ago, he told me, he said, I don't think it was you, Gary. I think it was Chris. He sure did tell me that about 3 months ago. I'm like, wait a minute, you mean I live with that all?
Gary took a bad thing.
I don't remember doing it, I was at.
At least they cleared it up.
Monkey see, monkey do, I must have was trying to.